Chapter 6, Hunt. Dueling is magic. A Rip in Time. Chapter 6, Hunt.
Applejack? Is that you?
Said the purple dragon.
How'd you know my name?
Asked Applejack.
It's me, Spike,
said the dragon. Applejack's jaw dropped.
It's been a long time, huh?
Said Spike. Applejack shook herself.
I guess,
she said.
Where's Twilight? And how'd you get so big anyway? Twilight's gone,
said Spike, looking away.
It's been 100 years since I saw any pony other than Celestia. 100, oh geez,
said Applejack.
That time Rip must be sent me to the future. And into the Dragon Mountains too,
said Spike. He held out his clawed hand.
I remember this. Come on, I'll take you to Canterlot. Maybe Celestia can help get you back.
Applejack hopped into Spike's hand and he placed her on his back. Then he slowly made his way down the mountain.
So I guess this is just after every pony got separated trying to get to you, say,
said Spike.
Then he added, for you, that is. Yeah, I guess,
Applejack replied.
Spike, if you remember what happened.
Said Spike.
Can't tell you that. Why not? For two reasons. 1, I told the Spike you know that, except for this, I didn't tell you anything. And 2, contradicting what I remember might make things worse. At least, that's what Celestia told me. So that's why you're taking me to see the princess. Yeah. I can't say anything, but she might can. She might even get you back to your own time. A pity that will never happen,
came a loud voice. Applejack turned around and Spike looked over his shoulder. Paradox raced down the mountain toward them on his D-wheel. Rarity knocked rapidly on the door.
Hello,
she called.
Is anyone there?
The door opened and a brown stallion with a gray mane appeared in the doorway.
Can I help you?
He asked.
Yes, I appear to have gotten a bit, well, lost,
said Rarity.
Lost?
Said the older pony.
Yes. I was with my friends, but the next thing I knew, I was in this rainstorm and, oh, can I please come inside?
She begged.
It's absolutely frigid out here. Yes, of course,
said the pony. He quickly stepped aside.
Where are my manners? Come in. There's a fire already lit in the room to your left. Thank you, sir,
said Rarity.
My name's Clyde, by the way,
said the stallion.
Clyde Pie.
Then he called out,
Sue. Find some towels. What for?
Came a female voice.
We have a guest. Poor thing got caught in the rain. Excuse me, sir,
said Rarity,
but did you say your last name was Pie? Yes, I did,
said Clyde.
Why do you ask? I know some pony, a close friend of mine actually, named.
Suddenly a towel was thrown over her head.
Ah! Who turned out the lights? Oops!
Said the female voice with a chuckle.
Sorry about that, miss.
Rarity pulled the towel back. Standing next to Clyde was a pale grey mare, her mane tied in a bun behind her head, gold spectacles resting on the end of her nose.
"I'm Sue Pie,"
she said.
"And you are?" "Rarity,"
said the white unicorn.
"By any chance, are you two related to Pinkie Pie?" "Why, yes we are,"
said Clyde.
"Are you a friend of hers?" "Yes, a very close friend,"
said Rarity.
"I see. Well, I suppose she'll be happy to see you. Sue, dear, take our guest to the fire and I'll go get Pinkamena,"
said Clyde. He turned and walked up the stairs.
"This way, dear,"
said Sue. Sue Pie led Rarity to a simple but thick rug in front of the fireplace. Rarity sat down and began rubbing the towel gently through her mane and coat.
"So, Mrs. Pie," she began. "Please, call me Sue,"
said Sue.
"Sue. Why is Pinkie here? I thought she moved to Ponyville,"
said Rarity.
"Is she visiting?" "Ponyville? What are you talking about, Rarity?"
asked Sue. Suddenly a voice came from behind them.
"But, Dad, I don't know anyone named Rarity." "Are you sure?"
came Clyde's voice.
"She's right there."
Rarity turned around. Staring right at her was a bushy-maned, bright pink filly.
"Nope, never seen her before,"
said the filly.
"Hi. I'm Pinkie." "Oh dear,"
said Rarity.
"This is going to be terribly difficult to explain, isn't it?" "Maybe not,"
said Clyde.
"Perhaps you know another pony named Pinkie." "Well, yes and no,"
said Rarity.
"You see, I know Pinkie, but she doesn't know me. At least, not yet. She will when she moves to Ponyville." "I don't follow,"
said Clyde.
"I don't either,"
said Pinkie.
"How can you know me but I don't know you, but I will when I grow up unless you're a time traveler, which is just silly because I've never heard of a time-traveling unicorn, but that'd be really cool if I met one and maybe we could go on a cool time-hopping adventure too." "Okay, Pinkie, dear," said Sue. "Please excuse her, she gets a bit excitable at times." "It's quite all right," said Rarity. "I'm used to it. But that little, rant that just happened. Well, she's right. I'm a time traveler. Well, technically, I'm lost in time. I ended up here by accident." "So? You're from the future?" said Clyde. "Yes," said Rarity. "You really expect us to believe that?" he asked. "Not right away, no," Rarity replied. "You're really traveling through time?" squealed Pinkie. "Dad! There's something weird coming out of the rain," came a voice from upstairs. "In a minute, Inky," said Clyde. "Dad, it's moving really fast and coming straight for the house," came another, younger voice. Clyde sighed. "Sue, see if you can make sense of what's going on here," he said. "I'm going to see what those girls are talking about." He turned and left. Sue got up and walked over to a window. "Rarity, my husband may not believe you," said Sue, "but I think you might be telling the truth." "You do?" said Rarity. "Yes. Do you know what time it is right now?" asked Sue. She turned and walked over to another window. "No. It's the middle of the day, and yet it's as dark as night outside. And the rain is just as strange, there wasn't a cloud in the sky today. That's because something terrible is happening. A person from another dimension named Paradox is trying to destroy Equestria. What? Why? How? He's been traveling through time, and it's causing reality to break down. So he's breaking reality,
said the tiny Pinkie Pie.
I do that all the time. It's easy. Of course you do, dear,
said Sue.
Say, what is that light in the distance?
Rarity got up and joined Sue at the window. Pinkie bounced over and stood on her hind legs to see, resting her hooves on the window sill. A light was racing toward the house. Flying behind it were several large shapes, beating their wings. A deep roar shook the house.
Oh no,
said Rarity.
He's here. Why are you wearing a pudding cake?
asked Pinkie Pie.
Why does every pony keep asking me that? It's just a hat I made,
said the pony.
Well, it looks delicious,
said Pinkie.
So, where am I? Am I still in Ponyville? Ponyville? No. You're in Equestria. Well, I know that, silly. But I was in Ponyville wait, you don't know about Ponyville? No. And you're wearing a pudding hat. It's not, blah, fine. Yes. You're Chancellor Puddinghead. And there are days when I think my parents were prophets,
huffed the pony.
If you'll excuse me, I have a meeting to attend. You know, you're not as fun as the script makes you out to be,
said Pinkie Pie as she fell in stride behind the Chancellor.
Script? Oh, that performance playwright is working on,
sighed Puddinghead.
He likes to embellish things. A lot. Those meetings were incredibly serious, as are the ones coming up. What are you gonna talk about?
asked Pinkie.
We still have to work out treaties regarding territory and how to deal with the Wendigos should they come back. Furthermore, we still have to allocate farming and weather duties amongst the Pegasi, unicorns and earth ponies. On top of that, we have to come up with a decent weather schedule that also takes the local wildlife into account. And after that... Okay, I get it. You've got a lot of important stuff to talk about. You're quite right. Why are you following me? Because I don't have anyone else to follow.
Puddinghead stopped and whirled around.
Who are you anyway? Oh, I'm sorry. I never introduced myself. I'm Pinkie Pie. Well, as much fun as this has been, I have important business to attend to. The founding of Equestria was one thing, but the formation of its government is quite another, and I have to make sure the Earth ponies don't get the short end of the stick.
She turned and walked off.
Well, can it wait?
asked Pinkie.
Because something really bad is happening and it's actually how I ended up here. I think we need to talk with the leaders of the other pony clans and see if we can get them to. You just don't get it, do you?
Growled Puddinghead.
Tensions are still incredibly high between the clans. Just because 6 of us made friends doesn't mean the rest of us will. But this is important,
said Pinkie.
I'm from the future and all of Equestria is in danger. The past, the future, all of it. The future. Right. You're an Earth pony. Right. You're not magical. Right. Time travel magic is still being investigated by that bearded wizard and his companion. Right.
Puddinghead stopped and glared at Pinky again.
So you honestly expect me to believe you're from the future? Right. And what makes you say that?
Pinky pointed over the Chancellor's shoulder and said,
That.
Puddinghead turned around. A purple and silver streak raced across the landscape before turning sharply and heading toward them.
Run!
Yelled Pinky.
You!
Shrieked Rainbow Dash.
What are you doing here? I may have been banished from your world, but Tartarus is a dark place,
said the cloaked figure.
Did you honestly think you could destroy me that easily? Well, never showing up again might have been nice.
Dash snapped. Then her expression changed.
Wait a second. Did you say Tartarus? I am not your only concern, Rainbow Dash,
said the figure.
Your sonic rain boom will have attracted every evil creature living in the depths of Tartarus. You are very much in trouble.
A thunderous rumbling echoed across the emptiness. Rainbow Dash turned around. A massive dust cloud was approaching the two of them. Dark shapes twisted and writhed within. But something was racing ahead of it. Something that gleamed in the grey light.
Oh no,
said Dash.
Paradox.
She quickly took to the air and flew off.
You cannot run forever, Rainbow Dash,
boomed the cloaked figure's deep voice.
You and all of Equestria will fall.
A clear beam sparkling with black light raced toward Yusei and Fluttershy. Yusei grabbed Fluttershy's hoof and pulled her onto his D-wheel before taking off. The beam missed them, leaving a sizable hole in the ground. Paradox revved his D-wheel's engine and shot off after them. Malefic Stardust Dragon flew above and behind him.
You can't escape me, Yusei Fudo!
shouted Paradox.
The bearers of harmony are doomed, as are you and this world. Yusei, what are we going to do?
cried Fluttershy.
I don't know,
said Yusei.
But we'll think of something. We have to. Wait,
said Fluttershy, suddenly calm.
How does he know about the elements of harmony? Probably found out about them while he was time-hopping,
said Yusei.
Whatever he's planning, we can't let him win. I've gotta keep you safe.
Yusei pushed a button on his dual disc. It opened and a card slid out.
Take flight, Stardust Dragon. You're...
Twilight stammered.
Star Swirl the Bearded,
said the bearded pony.
No way,
said Spike.
The Star Swirl the Bearded? The one who made the amniomorphic spell. Why does everyone pronounce it that way?
said Star Swirl, rolling his eyes.
It's omniomorphic. A shape-shifting spell. Oh, haha,
Spike chuckled.
Star Swirl, we need your help,
said Twilight.
Someone's causing chaos in, Spike, did you actually read that book? Well, I had a look at it when the time stuff started happening and... You needed my help?
asked Star Swirl.
Yes,
said Twilight.
You see, someone's causing chaos in Equestria and we got separated from our friends. Can you help us? The dragon, Spike, was it, said something about time stuff. What exactly does he mean? That's the chaos. Time anomalies have been appearing all over. Time anoma, how? Unless he's traveling through time and changing the past.
Came a voice. Twilight, Spike, and Star Swirl looked to its source.
Paradox,
said Twilight. Her horn began to glow. Discord looked around him.
The palace gardens,
he muttered.
Why am I he?
He stopped. A statue caught his eye. His statue. Discord slowly walked up to it, gazing at it.
Yes. I remember that day,
he said.
I liked them both. But I loved Celestia. But I could never resist making Luna happy. She was just as much my younger sister as she was Celestia's. She asked me to sing for her. Her favorite song? How could I not? I loved to see her smile.
Discord shut his eyes. He slammed his fist on the pedestal.
I was a fool.
He glared up at the statue.
You are a fool. We are all fools,
came a voice behind him.
The only thing we can do is see our mistakes and learn from them.
Discord turned around.
Or in my case,
said the voice behind him,
prevent them from happening.
Discord looked at the masked man before him. His hands were folded behind his back, his stance straight and unchallenging.
Paradox, I presume,
he said.
Indeed,
said the man.
Discord. Correct,
said the chimera. Paradox raised his gaze.
An inspiring statue, I think,
he said.
Yourself. Myself imprisoned,
said Discord.
Literally. I'm trapped in there. A shame,
said Discord.
Why are you here before me? To destroy you, of course,
Paradox answered.
I have already defeated the Bearers of Harmony, as well as Star Swirl the Bearded and Princess Celestia. I cannot have you running around undoing what I have done. Celestia.
Discord glared.
What did you do to her? What was necessary for my world?
Paradox replied.
Do you duel, Discord? I know how,
said Discord. A dual disc appeared on his right arm. A rainbow of colors swirled around each other across the disc. 3 uneven spikes adorned the edge.
Whatever you did to Celestia, I'll make you pay for it. Then let us begin,
said Paradox as he brought his right arm out from behind his back. His dual disc was already in place.
Duel!
They both shouted. To be continued. End of chapter.